Good evening, good evening. It's all right. You don't really need to hear anything.
Right.
Because you're not talking or interviewing anybody.
Oh,
Andrea Lawson, good night.
good night.
I need to clean up this.
Which night? Come on. So people are just logging in now. Give them a little time to log on. Good evening.
Hi, 48 viewers. I'm not sure if they can hear us. Can you guys hear us?
Are you hearing us? And Miss Lawson. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Smith.
Yes. Loud and clear. Okay, good. We are supposed to have Dr. Harris Daly tonight, but she is unavailable. Got caught up into something, so we will continue, and as usual, my viewers have to ask all the questions and help me to make us have a successful show.
All right, Jason Lee, good night. Good evening. All right. We're also on TikTok. All right, Miss Andrea, I mean. Good night, Mr. Chambers from Bermuda.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, Osborne Tristan.
Good night. Good night. So as usual, my wife is here, trying to make sure I look good, because even though maybe it might look simple, it's not simple for me.
Simple what?
Huh?
Simple
what we're doing.
Well, you are expert of it.
No,
Very.
it's not simple at all.
Mr. Bernard loves to talk and entertain people.
No, this is not entertainment. No, this is not entertainment. I like to share knowledge, and I like to learn from other people. Kimar Jackson. Kimar. So Kimar, good night. I am a young farmer who you have inspired, and I look up to you. I want to join the association, and how can I get in contact with you? So Kamar, my number is very public. It's 383-7565. And you can WhatsApp me. Well, I think it's on the screen now. I do answer a lot of calls every day. I try to answer all the calls because I'm very busy at work usually in the days, but I always return my calls, and I always try to help whenever I can. And it's not all the time I have all the answers. You both look handsome. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Make this what you're
So the lady is saying she wants her background to look more presentable, but
we have all kind of oil in the background.
So we are at about 25 persons, and
Mr. Blake, good night. Good night, sir.
Good night. So we are at 25 people. Now, when I originally Dr. Harris Blake was supposed to hear, we had discussed that we wanted to talk about kidding season. And I wanted to, talk about kidding season because, that's my scary part. I don't like kidding season. It's very rough. Good night, Gigi. Good night.
Son.
Who
has the top board genetics on the island? Who?
Wow. Who has the top board genetics on the island? That's a good question. I think we'll find that out at the Denby show. And usually the Denby show will highlight that because
we will have a pageant
at
the Denby.
Yes, so we'll see it. We'll see what's happening. Good night, Mr. Blake.
Mr. Fabian Ford. I would love to start a goat farm in Jamaica.
Well, he said a gold farm.
Gold. What is it, mining?
He wants to start a gold farm. All right, sir.
I hope we can find that here in Jamaica.
Good night, family.
From Mr. Sanderson.
Yes.
Maxwell. Good night, Mr. Bernard and your family. Good night.
Good night.
From Mr. Miller, you good? Yes, good topic. Very rough and good night.
Yes. Kamar Jackson, and forgive me for my ego to text good night to both of you. No, man, that's great. Blessings, I mean, everybody telling us good night. They want us to have a good night. So, everybody is blessing us, And as usual, may the Lord bless all the farmers in Jamaica and let us prosper this year. God bless you all. All right, Mr. Lawson, did you go to the Hague show in Trelawney? Yes, I went to the Hague show.
We have a video of it on
We have YouTube. A video of it on YouTube. And my wife and I were there and we had a great time. It was really, that Hague show was really a very good show this year. A lot of nice animals were there. And it was very passionate and emotional as usual with the goat farmers. And we really had a great time, really, really very good. It was one of the most impressive Hague show that I've seen thus far.
From Mona, blessings everyone. Good night, Mona. Good night from Cindy. Good night, Cindy.
Cindy's name is hard to pronounce at the end.
Galano.
So the question that was asked of me is, I have three things that were asked. Number one, they asked me to talk about sheep and my, what I think about the about sheep. So sheep and goat are very similar in many, many ways. And I always tell a lot of people who are here, some of the people who are here online now with me, I always tell them that sheep is for meat and goat is for milk. Generally speaking, that's how I feel, because sheep are very good converters of feed to meat, that is. And therefore they put on weight very quickly. They are very hardy, generally speaking. And sheep will walk in the rain, they'll walk in the mud, they will do a lot of things that goats won't do. And they are really very good survivors. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to make a sheep look bad. Generally speaking, when you look around, sheep always look good, especially in a grazing operation. They will eat the grass on the ground and pluck the roots out of the ground. And that's one of the things with sheep. They will destroy your pasture. You have to move them out, and make sure you move them away when they start to root out the grass out the ground. I mean, as a sheep will eat dirt, they'll eat everything. So in my farm, I usually have goat and sheep together. I rear both of them together because the feeding that the goats refuse, the sheep will usually eat it. Sheep will eat sticks to survive. They are very, have good survival instincts. And really and truly in Jamaica, we are eating probably 80% of the meat, small ruminants meat that we are eating is probably sheep meat, you know. So culturally though, we really speak about goat a lot, but sheep plays a very vital role and will play even more vital role in the future. So which boar have more value, color or traditional? It's really up to the people who are buying it, but it seems to me like the colored boar, you know, a lot more people are asking for colored boar these days. That's what
trends.
That's the trend right now. But you know, these trends change all the time. So Cindy, no, James.
St. James is what?
Oh,
it's easier? Or is it St.
No, James, it's easier.
From Mr. Ayodele. Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Good
sir.
evening.
All right, good to have you. All right, so the second thing that I wanted to talk about, which, well, sheep, as I said to you, one of the other thing about sheep is that sheep are grazers, so they hang down their head low and they eat grass, and they will survive on just eating grass alone. While goats really are browsers, they do much better on bush and, you know, trees and so forth. If they had a choice, they wouldn't eat grass. They tend to eat more, you know, legumes and shrubs and so forth, while sheep is quite comfortable eating grass. What else are there now?
I think sheep are not picky. Yeah, sheep is not picky.
Yeah,
about the food.
They're not fussy about what they eat. They eat almost anything.
Their body condition does not really show.
Yeah, they don't usually get in poor body condition. So there was a very you know, exchange of conversation about sheep and goats, and you know, that's what I have to say. So I think everything plays a part in our production cycle. So
good night, Mr. Garcia. Good night, sir.
All right, so any questions about sheep, you can certainly ask, but most of the sicknesses and most of the, you know, the food they eat and, you know, a lot of things are the same between goats and sheep. All right, I was also asked about prolapse. Now, I was hoping that the vet would be here for us to talk about prolapse today. Not an expert on it, but I have dealt with it a few times in my lifetime. So it's when the whole of the, what should I say now, the muscle, the womb or everything comes out at the back end. You see it start to poke out and go in back. And sometimes it will come out very long. You know, you'll see maybe a foot of it and come right out. And usually that animal you have to usually you should cull them, because you don't want to have that in your breeding program. Well, I did a little surgery once with a female goat. Only one time I've ever done it. She had prolapse. It was coming out, and I stitched the two areas, and it didn't come out anymore. And about a couple of days after, she had the kids, and it was successful. But you can look at that video to see it. It was a question that was asked, and I've been seemingly getting a few calls on that. I think it is genetically linked, but oh, it's the uterus, Mr. Smith. Thank you very much. It's the uterus. Thank you very much. And if you, Mr. Smith, if you have anything more to add, you know, I'm not an expert on prolapse, but you know, I can help myself.
Is it uterus? Is asking.
Oh, the uterus. Oh, you're asking if it's the uterus. Okay, so let me not say it's the uterus. So what I see is the whole of that area just coming out, like the womb or everything just comes right out. Yes. And that's why I was hoping for the vet to be here to answer the question properly. And so what I did is sew the top area of the vagina area and sew the bottom so that she still have a little hole there to do what she need to do. And just to stop that, you know, everything from coming out.
Prolapse uterus. Yeah.
Prolapse uterus, right. And to stop it from coming out.
It's a pelvic organ prolapse, which the uterus and portion of the upper vagina protrude into vaginal canal. Yeah.
So so Yeah, you were asking. Yes. So yeah, it is the uterus area that come out. The whole of that area just come right out. I once saw a goat, and when I went into the pen in the morning, I saw this long thing came out. It came out almost all of it, and she was just there lying down on the ground. So it can really be very severe when it happens. So, you know, it's something that you have to, once you see it start pushing out like that, you should, you know, get a vet to look at it and deal with it. Or in emergency situations like what I did, you just deal with the matter and hope for the best. So, so prolapse was one of the things. And I think what happens in prolapse is that the muscles inside there become very weak. The the organs or the muscle, they become weak, and they are not able to retain, you know, the uterus and everything. So everything just push out basically.
More likely, if she have baby later on, then she will have that same experience.
Right. So if she have another kid later on, the same thing will happen, and it might even be worse.
It's even worse. Yes.
Right. So usually once you see a female have prolapse, after she have that kid, you should really call that female. You shouldn't put her back in your breeding program. I would even maybe say, you know, even to put the kids in your breeding program back probably would be a risk, because it could be genetically linked, you know. Calvin Wilson, good night. Yeah. All right. So we can move. Sir, my prolapse, it
went, okay, sir, my prolapse, it went back, will it come back out?
Yes, so sometimes I see it comes out and it goes in, and it comes out and it goes in, and it comes out and it goes in. And then you'll notice after time, maybe another day or 2 or 3 going down there, you see more and more of it coming out. If you see that starting to happen, it's going into a dangerous state, you know.
The more that the more skin that
the rupture is like it's almost like a rupture, or you see a little blood on it, like, so you know those muscles and so forth are rupturing and so forth. So what I did in that video, I used fishing line and that like the needle that you use to sew shoes, and I stitch like 2 stitch at the bottom part and 2 at the top, just kind of make the hole a little smaller so that it didn't push out anymore. And then you have to watch her. As soon as she's ready to have that kid, then you cut back the fishing line, and then she have the kid, and it was successful. So I have done that.
Stitches on the skin, like the dead skin part of the bottom, I think, the anus part.
How can I get a pair of goat to buy? Wow, goats are everywhere to buy. No matter to what you want.
Oh, where is it though?
What parish are you in?
In Jamaica. It's in Jamaica. Because we have a lot of Facebook pages.
With people.
Based on your parish. So you can just search it.
Do we have to be careful when putting sheep and goats? Can they be bred?
Each other.
No.
Can they cross?
No, you can't. So we call it what them call it? They have a nickname that they call it, but no, they can't be crossed. Their chromosome count, I think, is different. That's the difference. So no, that is not so. They are a different species. But I rear my sheep and goat together all the time. I rear sheep and goat together, and they do very well. As I tell you, they clean up what the goats refuse, and they do very well together. I have no issues. No, the only issues I tend to have is the bucking. You know, like if you have goats with horn, then the goats can become more aggressive than the sheep. But I must tell you that a sheep, you should never turn your back to a male sheep. They can become very, especially if the female is going to eat, they are, you know, they just, what they do, they just look at you, they hold down their head, they just go down with their head and they charge you, and they will break your foot, they will damage you. The male sheep can be very dangerous and very, very dangerous. You have to, a goat will tend to jump up in the air and buck you and so forth. But the sheep usually will go for your foot.
The sheep backward and then
they reverse backward, go down with their head and charge full speed ahead and just ram you. So
and then the buck will just jump over and then buck him down.
So I've had the experience before with sheep. Never turn your back to a male sheep.
It's usually the male do the fighting.
Good night, guys. Is it also the same for cows?
Is it for prolapse?
For prolapse. Not a cow expert, but I would imagine so. But I'm not a cow expert. I'm not a vet also. So how long was the stitch in before birth? Okay, so when I did that stitching, I think it was like maybe about 3 or 4 days after she had the kid, but she started to go into labor like in the morning, like, and we saw it happening, and then we just we timed it.
We saw like
and we just cut it.
Line coming out of our vagina already, so we stitch it,
and then we cut this the thing, and then she had the kid successfully, and then she was all right. She actually, was all right after that. It didn't come out or anything, and she had the kid, 2 nice kids, and it was good. They produce
a geek.
Geek.
No,
I never seen that.
What is a royal?
Oh, royal, right? They call them they call it.
Oh, if you cross the breed.
Yeah, that's what people in Jamaica. So what caused that? So what is a sheep royal? So they call it sheep royal. So you still have it in Jamaica, right? You have these sheeps. I think it's a part of the Spanish breed, or not sheeps, goats. I think it's a part of the Spanish breed of goats or whatever. But these goats, there were some small goats just looking like native goat, but they have wool on them just like a sheep, but it's actually a goat. And they have wool on them, covered in wool, just like a goat. Very rare I see those goats. They still exist in Jamaica, but it's very rare that I see it. And people always say it's a cross between sheep and goat, and they call them sheep royal. But it is
not true.
Not true.
It's a myth. All right. So so they're saying good night on TikTok too. They say greetings to everyone on TikTok. All right. Male sheep are aggressors.
Yes. Male sheep are aggressors. Yes, and very dangerous. I don't walk into a sheep pen. That's something that
you got bucked already, guys.
I get bucked so much time in sheep pen. I don't take a chance with sheep. They're very dangerous. Very dangerous.
How many times
I don't want to think. I have had to jump on fences many times. Because just like when you see with the cattle.
Just thinking about it was so funny.
While sheep and goat can be bred together, resulting in a rare hybrid called a geek, the offsprings are generally stillborn and have development issues due to the genetic differences between the two species. Okay, well, I've never seen it, so if that is so, so in other words, it will not grow and develop into anything. So I guess that's understandable.
Right.
So some interesting facts about sheep. Now, I wanted to talk about today, what we were really going to talk about is kidding season. And this is my scary time. I don't like kidding season at all. I can't deal with the trauma of it and feeding the kids and all of this. It's not very nice. I don't find that part.
I think the most important thing kidding is saving colostrum from the previous kidding you have.
So you save the colostrum.
If you have a colostrum.
Yeah, you should always save your colostrum milk. Like if the mothers have kids, you save the colostrum milk. Make sure you have some, because sometimes you have a mother and she has no milk. Sometimes mastitis is a problem. She has no milk at all in the breast.
Or if the mother is sick or
if mother is sick or there's some difficulties. Sometimes if you have 4 kids or not enough milk is there, you should always save some of that colostrum milk. Just freeze it.
Very important to survive, to make those kids.
So you save the milk, and then when those kids born, they need that colostrum milk for the first day at least, and then after that you can feed the kids with milk replacer or take some milk from another animal. Very important.
All right, from this Radiant Rifle TV. I have a farm in Westmoreland with over 300 goats and is trying to get in market. The fathers are from renowned breeders in Jamaica. I need help getting a market.
With goats?
Mm.
Boy, we have so much calls for people who want in goats all the time. So you can reach out to me.
Maybe we should probably also have you been sharing it on our Facebook pages with different.
Yeah, you can share it and so forth. But give us a call and we can certainly expose you.
Help you, yes.
Mm-hmm. So Michael Gordon, good night.
Good night, Uncle. Yeah, are you uncle?
So so the colostrum is very important. Also, when you put out when those kids are being born, sometimes some animals need help in the kidding season. Kidding season is something that you should really pay attention to it, and make sure. My number is on the screen.
Just do a screenshot and you can go back over.
Yeah, you should pay attention to the animals, and then when they are having the kids, sometimes you have to help them. Especially sometimes when the kids are coming out, maybe the nose get blocked and they will stifle and die. So you have to pay attention to kidding season. All right, what's the next question?
Sometimes they come out breech, and you have to push your hand in there and help that.
And help the kid to come out. Yes.
Starboy, where is the best place to get some sheep to buy in St. Catherine or surrounding areas?
All right, so you can reach out to me. Right now I know of 2 farmers having sheep selling in Clarendon and St. Elizabeth, and sheep are available from time to time. There's a market for it, and sometimes I'm even hearing recently of difficulty in finding sheep farmers, but you can reach out and we can certainly share that information. One of the things also is that with sheep and goats, the kidding season are usually the same. But it's one thing. One thing I can tell you about sheep: those lambs usually almost born standing up. As they come out the mother, they are standing. They're usually very hardy when they're born. Sometimes with goats you have to help them. Sometimes you have weaker kids, but sheep, they're so strong. Those kids just come out. Those lambs, sorry, just come out and they are ready to go. That's another thing with them. The thing though, generally speaking, what I notice about sheep and goats though, is that if you have a herd of goats and a herd of sheep, your multiplying effect with goats is usually much, much faster, because goats tend to have triple and 4, and sheeps will have triple, but in my experience, they tend to have 1, a lot of singles and twins. They have triplets. I've personally never seen a sheep with 4, but you do have certain breeds of sheep that will have a lot more and so forth. But in Jamaica, I don't know, from the genetics that we have in Jamaica, I don't see sheep. The multiplying effect is not as, they don't increase as fast as goats, because goats tend to multiply a lot faster. But also sheep, usually when a sheep reach 1 month after having a lamb, usually 1 month or so after, sometimes they will mate back. So you can get 2 sets of kids in 1 year with sheep. That is often the case. All right.
Big up, Miss Marvin Ali.
Good night. Yes, big respect. I'm watching from St. Kitts, but I am mainly into rabbit. Love your program. Yes, sir. I hope you saw the rabbit program, podcast that we did the other day. And well, you can share with me some of your stuff with rabbits from St. Kitts. All right, so what else are we going to say about sheep? The kidding cycles are basically the same. Sheep tend to be very strong. And so our native goats in Jamaica, right, which behave almost the same way, very tough. Usually with native goats, you don't have to deworm them most of the time. You don't have to, you almost just, once they have feed and they do well, the kidding is, they have the kids, they feed their young ones, they do everything very, very simple. There's no issues with native goats usually. native goats will just produce, have 3-4 kids. That the multiplying effect of the native goats are very very good. And I guess our native is really crosses of the Spanish goat and Alpine and tugging bird, and am I leaving out any? Those smaller breeds, Alpine, those are the breeds usually that covers the native goats.
They're saying sheeps are emotionally complex.
Sheeps are emotionally complex. Well, they are easy to handle. Once sheep have feeding, if you have them in a pasture or you have them somewhere, once they have feeding, they will not go anywhere. A goat, you could have them in the best of pasture. They're going to find a way to get out and walk 10 miles down the road. They are sheeps is easier to handle, much easier. They're not going to tear down your fence and try to come through a hole. They're not going to climb a tree. They're not going to climb the fence. They are much easier to contain and handle them.
Where is this? In St. Kitts, they're having a marketing problem.
So in Jamaica, rabbits. There are marketing issues with rabbit from time to time, but you have to create your own market. And that's what I see the rabbit farmers here do. Like they will, produce some and maybe supply to some supermarkets, different farmers. They have, like we have jerk rabbit or jerk pan meat or, on the street side, and they have jerk rabbits. Sometimes you have to create your own market, right? And once you start creating those markets, it will develop. You can't just expect that it will.
It's a niche market, it's so you have to be to identify what is it that makes you better.
Mr. Sterling, good night. What do you think about the Kiko goat? All right, so Mr. Sterling, the Kiko goat. So the Kiko is much like our native goat, right? They are tough. They are well, if you saw, I did that Kiko,
hardy, they are
very hardy animals. They were bred. They were the feral goats in New Zealand, and they were bred with the English tugging bird, the English Alpine, Nubian, the English Nubian, and the Sani was the last. They said the Sani went on them for color alone. But the thing with the Kiko, they are, they will have kids out into the rough terrains, very good modern instincts, just like our natives. And they can live on poor forages. They will eat poor forages and survive and do very well. A very tough goat. And well, that farmer we talked to, they don't worm the animals. They don't do any of those things. And those animals are fed just with in bush, forages only. No grains are in their diet, and they do very well. Even on our program, Bodel's program, they have 1 and 2 Kikos there. And if you see the condition of the Kikos in comparison to other goats, they really stand up very well in the environment. And another thing, even though I'm not an expert on the Kiko goat, they have a much bigger carcass. They are much bigger than our native goat. They have all the traits of the native goat, being tough, hardy, good modern instincts, but they also have a bigger frame and a bigger body. So they will have more meat and so forth with all that toughness. That's one of the reasons.
Meat market.
And it's a meat goat. It is a meat goat. It's not a milking breed. Because I think when we were talking to her the last time, she also said they don't produce
enough meat.
The milk. They don't produce the milk right through the year like a Nubian or a milking breed. A milking breed goat will produce milk up to all, at peak maybe for like 300 days. But usually at about 3 months, they stop producing. They'll, wean off themselves. The milk production goes down. And they actually breed them for that.
Good night, Mr. Bernard. I currently have a goat experience in vaginal prolapse in southern Trelawney. Any vet you could recommend to me?
All right. So
from Orlando.
I don't know the vet, but RADA has vets, and you have to reach out to maybe your RADA officer in the area. I don't know the vet in Trelawney, but you can reach out. But I tell you
On their
something.
website, they have a vet areas that each parishes who's representative in each parishes. You can search on it who is a representative in your parish.
But in an emergency situation, today is Saturday, if you have prolapse, I would look at my video, and I'm sure it would be better you do something than nothing at all, because that uterus will come out, and if it comes out too much, it gets long. I've seen it come right out, and that can be then you almost can't do anything about it. So I would pay attention to it.
Enough love from
Grenada, Sterling, yes.
Good evening from
UK.
Hard to pronounce the name.
Some of the names are hard to pronounce, yes. So I have a pineapple
field. It is quite big. It's hard to keep clean. Do you think sheep would work?
Yep.
Well in there.
Yep. The sheep will go in there and eat out the grass and the shrubs inside there. Yes. I've seen people use goats in the pineapple field, but you can try them. And also, what I notice is that, let's say the common sheep, like say a black belly, the black belly sheep tend to kind of act like a goat sometimes. You know, they eat, they even though they graze a lot, they also browse a lot, and they catard into. The darper tend to be very more dedicated grazers. But yes, I would certainly try them.
From Rogers, our supermarkets here that don't buy local rabbit meats.
There are 1 and 2 supermarkets
like probably the Chinese supermarket will take them.
Will take rabbit meat. But you see what happens, nobody is doing it consistently. And the truth is, from rabbit farmers, serious rabbit farmers, Dane was online the other day. There is usually a shortage of rabbit meat in Jamaica. From time to time, there is shortages happening.
You could try the restaurants too. You can try the restaurant.
You have to form yourself in the clusters, link up with Dane and other clusters if you're a serious producer, and then you can work together.
He's in St. Kitts. Yeah. I make rabbit cages and feeders. I sell more feeders than rabbits here.
Okay.
Can build more cages too. Yeah. Sansan, good Kiko buck get over 200 pounds.
Right. So I have some farmers who I would almost say that they don't know anything about the Kiko. Like myself, I've never owned a Kiko, but a good Kiko buck will reach over 200 pounds, and that's a very good point, because I have seen the pictures and I have seen it. Now, our natives bucks don't reach anything near 200 pounds. So the fact of the matter is that this Kiko is a larger goat, will survive on poor forages, do very well, very good with kidding. They can handle cold weathers and the hot weathers, and so I think the Kiko goat is a very, very good addition, which is coming into Jamaica now. It has started. There are farmers who have brought already, and more is going to come. And I think it will make a big difference in our goat world, because we need a mix of many, many different things. We have Boers, Nubians, and we have many different breeds of goats. Another thing too is even the Sani. The Sani is here, and the Sani is a much bigger goat than our native goats. And the Sani is a very good eater. They will eat poor forages and do well also. That's what I've noticed with them. All right, so Gigi suggested that we contact Nutramix and Hypro or the veterinarian division. Okay, thank you, G. Good luck. Hi. Hi, Mr. Trevor. Hi. Why do molasses seem to be getting a bad reputation? Do you agree that it contributes to the external parasites? So
Dr. Denny was
molasses, even our grains like our bag feeding and so forth, molasses Molasses is used in all the feeds. Molasses is part of the diet of a lot of those feed preparation that happens. I don't know about external parasites, that molasses cause external parasites. I don't agree with that. But then again, remember that everything that you're doing is, you have to do it in moderation. So if you overfeed or give the animal too much molasses, it can cause problems. But if you use your molasses, to a certain degree, use it properly, then I don't see a problem. The thing is, when you dilute molasses, like you said, dilute it in water, it can become compromised and so forth. So I don't know if it is that maybe if you take it and dilute it in water and then you put it down for a couple of days, maybe, worm or something might get in it. It might breed. But molasses in its natural state, when it's thick, I don't see a problem.
Thanks for a reminder. Good luck. All right. Greetings from Insurrection Group.
Yes, greetings.
People would not buy Kiko genetics because they look natives. They look like natives.
Okay, well, I don't think I agree with you, but that's okay.
Do you know who has a Kiko run for sale?
Well, the Kiko has just started to come in Jamaica, so I don't know if any is available for certain.
I mean, for Kiko, it depends of like their environment, the owner, what they could provide for the goats.
Right. So you're correct. Too much molasses can give them diarrhea. Too much of anything, well, not too much grass, mind you, but too much of any of those things that doesn't exist in the goat's natural environment can cause problems. Because even grass, when the grass is young, for example, young grass, and at the tip of the grass, when you have a rainfall and at the tip of the grass, what happens is the nitrogen gets very high in the tip of the grass. And I don't know if I would say it's diarrhea, but you will see soft stool happening with young grass and, young shrubs and so forth. Those things can happen. All right. So I think it's going to be interesting when the Kiko, I think it's going to be interesting, to see what happens when we infuse Kiko with, native goats and so forth.
Remind them about the goat show, the dairy goat.
All right, so they can also add salt to the molasses to prevent diarrhea. Yeah, but you shouldn't be too much sugar is not good. You don't want to overfeed or the molasses. There is a certain proportion that you should really use. Molasses, yes, and this person is saying that molasses is believed to increase the blood sugar content in the animal and reduce body sulfur content that requires
to inhibit ectoparasites.
I can't comment on that. But as I said,
Miss Dr. Denny in here.
Dr. Denny.
All right, stay there now.
When buying meat, most consumers doesn't know what breed they are purchasing. So get the breed that maximize your profit. That is very true, right?
I think that's what about talking about that people doesn't want to buy Kiko.
Right. So this is it though. What is very important about that statement, is that there are some breeds of goats that require a lot of intervention, kidding season, and which is what we have been talking about, parasite burden, even external parasites, you'll have a herd of goats, and some of them, external parasites does not affect them. And some of them, you see the skin dropping off, and external parasite is a big issue. It's just like even cattle. If you look at, for example, the Indian cow, which is what, the Brahma, parasites don't affect them that greatly, while you'll have some other breeds that, external parasites is a big issue. So yes, production. You want production without a lot of intervention, You don't want to be living, have to be drugging the animals all the time, and with all the different drugs, but for sicknesses and external parasites and all of these things.
All right, someone asking, good night. Have a goat kid in a few days ago and milk not coming down. Any idea what to do?
Well, the most I can say is nutrition. I know minerals help a lot with the goats, bring down the milk. And sometimes you just have a goat, and after she have that kid, the milk don't come down same time. I've seen situations where the milk come down a day or two after. What is important is for you to make sure that kid survive.
Make sure she have a lot of forages to eat,
But
like
no,
more.
the mother, yes.
The mother.
Yeah.
Make sure she get that.
The nutrition is okay, right? You have to make sure that
carbs. She need more carbs, energy. All right, molasses is okay. Can you advise the best way to use molasses? How much and how often?
Wow, that's a big nutrition thing. So for me personally, I only use molasses for preservative reasons. So if I'm doing silage, I use the molasses to preserve my silage. I use it mainly for preserving anything that I have. Now, there are some farmers who put molasses in the water and make the animal have molasses in the water. Farmers do different things like that. But you know something? I'd prefer the nutritionists say, because I'm not a heavy user of molasses, but I do use the molasses heavily in my silage and stuff like that I'm doing.
All right, I've already read it one. From Farm Solutions, when buying meat, most consumer, okay, we have already heard that too. Actually, molasses increases sulfur.
So molasses increases sulfur. I don't know if you can expand on that for us.
All right, the Gulabi goat is reputed to reach up to 300 kilograms. Farmers in Burkina Faso are breeding them to increase their herd average weight. You should consider importing Gulabi goats.
So the Gulabi goat, 300 kilograms. That is like
a cow.
That's a cow. Because 300 kilograms is over what? Maybe about 600-700 pounds, closer to 700 pounds. That is a big goat. I mean, 300 kilograms?
Maybe pounds, 300 pounds.
No, it's kilogram, it said there. That's a big goat.
Then you should consider Gulabi. You need to have a cow pen.
So
the readily available sugars in molasses helps to forage digestion, but Mr. Bernard is correct. Molasses should be given in moderation.
All right. So that is the thing. So sugar in molasses help with digestion because of the energy, So it speeds up the digestion. And I don't know if I'm correct in saying this, but usually that sugar in there, the bacteria in there feeds on the bacteria, so it stimulates and increases the digestion process. Thank you very much.
For milk production, remember 87% is water, so ensure the animals have ad lib access to clean water.
Yes. So yes, clean water is very, very important, right? So that is why sometimes I wonder if putting molasses in the water, and how much should you put? What is the, that's why I don't do it, because I'm not really that an expert at this molasses in the water. So I know a lot of farmers who put a lot of molasses in the water all the time. And yeah, the molasses is also rich in minerals. That is true. Which includes sulfur, right? Which is good for the animals. I mainly have the molasses in my feed, and the thing there. So, all right. So,
you said that oxytocin does help to bring down the milk.
Yes, is oxytocin. Yes, I call it Oxysure. Yes. So, but the thing is, though, usually with the Oxysure, you give it to the animals right after the kid, because it also helps to release the placenta. So I'm not a vet, but I don't think you should give them the Oxysure, like a day or two after the mother has had the kids, because I think it might want to tear up the womb inside there. So usually the oxyshore or the oxytocin is usually given right after she have the kids, and that also bring up the
bring down the milk.
Bring down the milk.
How effective is the lick salt and the
minerals for rabbits?
To the rabbits.
I don't know. I have never used salt lick or minerals unless you have a salt lick that is specific for rabbits, because you see some of those salt lick, like for example salt lick for goats, maybe that salt lick, the proportion in it might have like maybe copper in there. Is copper okay for rabbits? Like sheep's, copper is not okay for sheep's, you know. So I think the different species require minerals that are, you know, that are geared towards that species.
No,
that's what I wouldn't be just giving them any salt lick or doing. I don't even know if it is necessary, because rabbits do so well with just, you know.
No, even with the buck and the mother, the feeding that have milk on it, too much calcium is not good for the bucks. So you have to be careful of what you feed because of those minerals.
The only time I give my goats molasses is after they have kids for the energy, and that's okay. Listen, you see, if you have a goat and that goat is doing very well, they are nice and shiny, you know, their body condition is good, and they look very good, you're doing a good job. We don't need to add anything more to them. If you see that animal looks very smart, shiny coat, you know, all those kind of things, then you're doing a good job. So yes, I have a special one I buy from a store. Well, yes, so that's what I would suggest. And does it make a difference when you use that salt lick mineral? Do you see a difference? Is it value for money? Did it make a difference in your in your production or so forth?
I wish I get an alert that your program started. I hope I didn't miss it.
Well,
you can go back to
yes, it will be recorded, so I'm sure that there were things. I'm trying to start on time most of the time, and you know, trying to, because some people complain that I take too long to start and I mustn't wait and things, but you know, I'm trying to, you know, on time and do this thing properly.
But we discussed about sheep, and then now we're talking about the molasses.
Molasses, and the nutritionist is helping us, Dr. Denny. So that's great.
And then the rabbits too. I just start using it because the rabbits were losing their fur.
Losing their fur. You sure it's not plucking the fur to have the litters, or I don't know. Anyway, you can let us know. But I've never had to do that. How I feed rabbits, I do give them the rabbit pellet, right? But I also always include forages in their diet. So I telling you, I give them grass, make sure they always have grass, but sometimes I give them different forages, you know, even mango leaf and, you know, different trees, you know, mulberry, trichantera. Trichantera is like a rabbit feed, and they love it. They eat everything.
So they are young rabbits.
Right. I give them everything. So I always have both the forages and the feeding in their diet, and they do very well.
Nutrition problems then.
Yeah, it's nutrition, you know, and I don't know anything about giving them minerals. So I'm not, you know, once you're feeding them with that feeding and giving them forages, they usually do very well.
What is a mineral lick?
Okay, so mineral
what is in the mineral lick?
Well, you have many different kind of mineral licks.
Dr. Denny asked the person.
Yeah, okay. Yes. What is in that mineral lick? Yeah, that's a good question, because I don't know. You can answer that.
I give them a lot of papaw leaf, mango leaves, etc. Okay.
So the leaves and the fiber is very important. You know, have some grass and so forth, you know. Rabbits, some people might feed them like on cabbage, or you not to feed those kind of things, you know, like cabbage and, you know, callaloo. Those things are not so good.
All right, someone's asking, what do you think about bear ups? If I can remember, you use it a lot.
All right, so bear ups, as we call it in Jamaica, is really from, I think, is the barley seed, which is a grass seed. And so they use the factories, I think our red stripe factories extract, I think it's mainly the carbohydrates. Anyway, they extract the some parts of it, and the waste from it is what we call bear ups. And what I think about it, well, I use it when I can get it, but that is because we are in Kingston. But if you have forages, you are always ahead of the game. If you have the bushes and the forages, because you're really giving the animal a complete diet. Because the bear ups does not have everything in it.
All right. Did you know go eat dirt?
Yeah. Anytime you see
minerals under that too.
Yeah, but usually when you see them eating the dirt, well, if you see the mountain goats that go on the side of the mountains and they lick the rocks, and they eat marl, like the marl, because they have this marl thing that is in the bag feeding. They put like these marl, as part of part of making bag feeding. But yes, I've seen it. But I've actually seen even sheeps like eating the dirt and whatever. And once you give them minerals, so when you see the goats and the sheep eating the board in the pen, eating down the pen, eating the troughs, eating dirt on the ground and things,
the board.
Eat everything like that, usually is a mineral deficiency. And once you give them free choice mineral, you usually see them stop doing it. So it's a sign of mineral deficiency when you see them eating all those kind of things. And that's why free choice mineral is important.
Why aren't most farmers not taking advantage of AI? Is the successful rate is low?
The success rate is low on AI, and I think farmers make use of it when it is available. It's just not available all the time in Jamaica, and there are challenges with it.
In terms of rabbit, how can I get them to mate? Been putting the female with the male, however, there is no success in breeding.
Well, something is wrong with the male, or maybe if maybe the male there's a problem, because rabbit breed very easily. They don't, you put them in there and within minutes everything is done. So maybe that male is, if the male is too fat, the condition is, or something is wrong with him, you need to change the male. And sometimes if the females are too fat too. So you have to make sure that there's a balance in what you're doing.
Is there an age?
Yeah, there's different breeds have different no.
Okay. Mineral or iron deficiency?
Short boss, mineral or iron deficiency. I don't know why.
No, for when they start eating.
Right, mineral or iron deficiency. Yes, all the different, yeah, any kind of deficiencies or whatever in the mineral. That's why the free choice mineral is such a good thing to have in your goat pen at all times. I have a little trough or a little container in my goat pen so that they have access at all times for the free choice mineral. I also have baking soda free choice, so that in case of bloat or so forth, they have access to baking soda also if there's a bloat condition.
We call Law Pool. Where can I buy hay?
Okay. You can contact, I think she's here, Farm Solutions.
Dr. Denny, the Farm Solutions. They are on Instagram. You can find it, Farm Solution.
Yes.
Solutions.
All right. How to get rid of
pneumonia in a boar female?
So pneumonia is respiratory illnesses. Now, the best thing I can tell you, I'm not a doctor, but the vet. But there's a product that you can get. It sells at the farm store, and you give them that. So you need to, it's best to get one of the products that is directly, focus on respiratory issues. So the farm store and your vet can help you with that. I don't remember the name of the product, but there's something that I use that is very successful of using it.
I think the vet have mentioned it with our last.
Yes, the vet mentioned, yes.
With our
Our
last
vet is supposed to
live
have been here today, but I guess we'll add her
next
time because she couldn't be here. Dr. Daly.
daily.
I tried
No back, it didn't work.
and it didn't work. Okay. Um Sometimes when you're having the pneumonia thing to sometimes it's sometimes environment, like the hay grass you might be feeding with, it might have a lot of dust in it. Sometimes dusty feeding, if they are, when the feeding is crushed and you're giving them, a lot of dust is in the environment, you see the nose and it causes respiratory issues and so forth. So you have to make sure you're not having any dust issues, like that. I remember once I got some hay, and the hay and all the goats started sneezing with that particular hay. And what I did was I started to take molasses water and wet it up when I feed it to the animals, just to try and avoid the dust, and it kind of sorted out the problem. Mr. Smith.
I am making silage and I troughed the grass and didn't use until 2 days after it has sweated. Can it use to make the silage? It has.
So without seeing when you said sweating and so on, I don't know if it is spoiled or not, but I would hear it out, like just spread it out on a concrete, and I would put the molasses in there and make sure you seal it up as quickly as possible. And usually if it smells good at the end of 3-4 weeks, then usually, but I'm just here guessing. You have to, it's a judgment call on your part.
If it's sweating, maybe the process doesn't complete yet.
No, I'm just cut it and have it there. Oh. Yeah, so
what is the best dewormer you suggest for goat?
We had that conversation last time. They were saying there are 3 different levels of dewormer, 3 different types, even though they have many different names.
You can search it on our YouTube. It was recorded.
Yes, it was recorded with Dr. Daly. So there are 3 different. So it's not a matter of which one is best, So if you have a pregnant animal, the ivermectin, group will be the ones that you use. If you have animals that are not pregnant, so it matters, because sometimes the animals build up a immunity to the wormers. Sometimes you have different types of worms, like maybe you might have tapeworm or some other, so some of the wormers work different with different species of the worms and so forth, and you have to look at immunity. So it's not really so much which one is better than which one, but it's how you're going to resolve the problem based on where your animals are. So that's why I don't really recommend worming. I mean, a lot of farmers just worm the animals arbitrarily and always worming. I don't practice no regime of worming like that. I only worm an animal if it is absolutely necessary to do that. So you do the Fermantia score, you look at the eyelids. Sometimes you literally see like worms coming out in the feces or something like that. And then you usually apply the worm medicine, whichever one you choose. But that's how I handle it. So it's not everything you must be worming.
Young Mitch. Yes, we have goat selling, but pure buck.
Yes.
Pure buck.
Yes, a lot of bucks are a lot of farms, even myself.
Yeah,
there are more bucks are coming than those. I don't know why. Some people say it's because of the moon when you breed them, but I don't know anything about that. So all right, it's now after 8. If there are no more questions, I am going to leave us. I can tell you that I'm hoping that the doc will come next week, and I'll ask her to explain some more again about the wormers and so forth. And I don't like to speak about the drugs and all the different names and the drugs like that, because I'm not a vet, and
depends on the availability in the country
and all that kind of thing. So as usual, it was nice having you all online today. and was good. This program was a very nice program tonight. A lot of good questions, and I will see you all next week. I'm hoping to have the vet next week.
Or if they want Dr. Denny to come back, ask
or if they want Dr. Denny to come back, I'll certainly ask her if she can come back and talk some more about, the nutrition side of the animals. I will ask her and see if she'd want to come back again. Also, we have, I'm passionate about dairy goats, and, I would love to see Jamaica move forward a lot more with dairy animals. We have a symposium that is going on the 19th. And, when we're training some farmers, a symposium on the whole dairy industry, dairy milk, we're going to have displays there. All that kind of thing is going to be happening at the 19th at the Kendall Conference Center,
in Manchester.
In Manchester. I think this is on Wednesday. So guess what? Dairy goats are being pushed a lot in Jamaica now. We have dairy processors and different people selling different things in the dairy industry. Some people will have displays of soaps and milks and all different kind of dairy products from the animals. So all the value added will be at that show on the 19th, which is Wednesday coming. I will be there, my wife will be there, and we are going to have a great day. So looking forward to see some of you there. And
we're still asking, Mr. Smith, what's the ratio to mix the molasses for silage?
Oh, and Dr. Denny will be there. Dr. Denny, you didn't answer if you're going to come back again. Because they are asking me what is the ratio of mix with molasses or silage. Boy, I tell you the truth is I just put it in a little trouble bottle and just
just experiment.
Yeah, and throw it in the grass, and if it turns out well, then that's the mixture I use. You see what happened, different molasses, when I get it from different times, the what you call the viscosity is different. Some is a little thicker than others. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of difficult for me to answer it like that. But when you put it in there, I dilute it down, not too thin as I can apply it. And I usually put like quarter drum and I sprinkle a chubby bucket on it. Then I put another quarter and I sprinkle some more. And then I put some more and I just till when it gets right to the top of a drum, because I use a drum liner in a drum, press it down and try to make sure no air is available in it. There's no holes on the bottom of the drum, and I seal it up. I just tie that drum liner bag and I put the cover on it and put stones. I usually fully
vacuum out the air.
Well, we don't have a vacuum. I just put a stone on top of it and make it, press it down and after a time you just see it sink. And usually a month after, it's really nice.
Probably the house vacuum camera. Can it? No? All right. Where can you get ivermectin to buy?
From the farm stores like Hypro and Nutramix. Both places sell.
Hypro and Nutramix.
Yeah, but it don't have to say ivermectin. You have Iversipt and you have different names.
They have vet always there.
The vet is there.
They can give you advice which one to give.
Right. So is Levax a worm? Yes, one of the families. All right. So Dr. Dennis says she will be.
She's always happy to come back. All
right. So we'll invite her. I don't know if it's next week or when she will be available, but the questions are always being asked about the nutrition, and we are not tired of talking about nutrition, because I tell you, every now and again, yes, I learned something from her the other day, and we're always learning new things. So, we're always happy to have her. All right. So everyone, good night, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Good night, everyone. Good night, Hills Farmer. Good night. We're ending now. You just come.
Yes, we're ending now. So
we'll see you. We'll
next week Saturday at 7:00.
No, at the dairy.
Well, no, we're not going to see everybody there, but we'll be there at the dairy show. Dr. Denny will be there. A lot of the vets and the dairy experts will be there. So make sure, and I'm sure they are going to talk about you know, what do you feed the animals to make them produce more milk? That will be there. And I think, you know, what we would talk about with Dr. Denny, dairy animals, how you feed dairy animals and what's the difference. You know, that would be a very interesting topic.
The nutrition part of the dairy animals.
How you feed dairy animals different from, you know, the regular meat goat, because there are some differences there to, you know, to make them produce a lot of milk. That's something that we can certainly talk about. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks.